Okay, and now we are live. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, I would like to welcome a wonderful friend of mine and a very, very special guest whom I'm going to be interviewing today. And her name is Yvonne Arnold. For all of you and for everyone who is going to be joining in to this program, and it's a very special program, don't miss it. If you're not able to watch it today, make sure that you watch it after when it's been recorded. And there's a very good reason we'll be surprising you with it. All right. I would like to also thank Gaetano Vivo and his team. He's the owner and operator of this particular program, and I will be your host today. My name is Alexandra von Hahn, and I'm going to now introduce you to our lovely life coach, but I'm going to give you the name of that particular type of coaching that she actually does. All right, so this is Yvonne Arnold. Yvonne Arnold is an art and media professional by training, as well as a historian and literature scholar. While living in New York City, Yvonne completed a postgraduate training course at the New York Film Academy, which triggered her professional film work for the past 2 decades. Yvonne first used the methods of inside relevance. Now that's the name of the coaching method. For herself in order to ensure the smooth running and overall successful film productions. Now, this is where also Yvonne comes in. She's a well-known film producer, and her methods have worked wonderfully. So this is why we're here today. But also to process her personal traumatic experiences and their lasting consequences. Her joy for applying and sharing inside relevance with clients started about 10 years ago. Yvonne holds a master degrees in plural from the University of Constance, Southern Germany, and the University of Bristol in England. This is where I think Yvonne Arnold is going to reveal to us some of the mystery, although for now it's a mystery, after it will no longer be a mystery. Her method of her coaching method. Now, what I'm going to ask is for everyone to write down notes and write down the questions that you may have, because we will have an answering question period as well. Now, how do you, Yvonne, this is where I'm actually quite curious, although we know each other, but we haven't seen each other for a while. And this is why I am going to ask the question, not only for myself, but on behalf of the audience. How do you help people? I mean, and what is your profession exactly? Although I have read part of it to the audience, but I think you are going to be revealing to us a little more about it.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, Alexandra. It's really an honor to be here in this group, and I saw there are wonderful people here. And I'm really excited to be here and being interviewed by you today. And
thank you. That's an awesome.
And concerning your question, I help people in all kinds of areas. I first implemented that method into my film productions because a lot of times companies don't know really how to show their product, and they know the specialty about their products, but film and film production is all about transporting emotion and showing a story that really connects people's hearts and speaks to their hearts. And it's not about only telling a certain story about a product or company's image. It's about much more. It's also how the energy is behind the camera, because the camera is very sensitive and takes on everything, and the viewer can feel it, although they usually can't pinpoint it. They say, that film didn't do anything to me, and that's very often because there's some emotional element missing. And now, due to the pandemic, I mean, in the last 10 years, I also help people in their private life. You know, it's very often people know what they don't want to have and what they want to overcome or see their weaknesses. But very often they don't know how to get out of the situation, and they are stuck in a certain situation because of certain facts and experiences. And that's how I help people to basically see it more clearly, to see what's really inside of them emotionally, psychological, and what's blocking them from doing things. That's for entrepreneurs, as well as if you're in a personal, very touching experience, for example. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? You actually mentioned, or I mentioned, that you went through a traumatic experience in your life. Now, if that is okay with you, may I ask you, how did you apply that method of coaching, which we're going to, in fact, I'm going to ask that question a little later, what method it is. But what did you experience, and how did it help you to actually come out of this traumatic experience?
There were many traumatic experiences, and I think it doesn't, we could talk like 2 hours about them. And but I want to pick out one that that was really traumatic, which I'm a survivor of September, and I feel already my voice going, you know, I usually don't talk about it, but going through that.
Yvonne, can I interrupt you for 1 minute? What do you mean by survivor of September? Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that? We are speaking to an audience who speaks many languages. Yes.
Yes, of course. I was on September 11th. I was in the World Trade Center complex when it happened, when the two planes hit the World Trade Center. And that was a really traumatic experience. And during the time, while the second plane went over my head into the building, there was a phase that you usually don't get into as a human being. I didn't experience fear of any kind, but I was touching on some deeper senses. I was totally on survival mode. And I found that really interesting, that that my body or my brain couldn't process everything that happened, but my body was on survival mode. And afterwards, it's an experience that triggers all kind of other processes, and it led to a fear of flying. I mean, a really big fear of flying. And back then I was traveling back and forth between Germany and New York, and I knew nothing had happened. I had a fear of flying all of a sudden after this traumatic experience of 9/11. I had all of a sudden a really big fear of flying. And I knew in my mind it's the safest way to travel. I knew nothing has happened except my emotion towards it. And every time then I thought, if I give up flying, then I give up part of my life, how I want to live. And I love to travel and I love to fly. And before that, I had the advantage that I loved flying before that. And all of a sudden, I was afraid. Every time I entered the plane, I thought, this is my last day of my life. And all sorts of, tried all sorts of methods. But hold on, my Siri switched on. All sorts of methods I tried out to get rid of this fear of flying. And it was so heavy that sometimes even flight attendants had to hold my hand for 8 hours. Otherwise, I would freak out. It was really deep. And with this method, I got rid of it. And I've kind of developed it within the next 10 years after that. Mm-hmm. And now I enjoy flying again, and the fear is gone. So I transformed it. And that's how also with the help of a lot of teachers, I helped to develop that method in order to help also others.
So you are where you are today because of that particular experience, although it's very traumatic, and it could have actually gone the other way as well. On the other hand, you benefited from it. despite all the suffering that you have gone through. I know you went through a traumatic experience during the 10 years. But I have to acknowledge you for the fact that you managed and you kept working at it, as many other people probably would not have. You seek external help as well as internal help within yourself, and experts have helped you. And by experts, if I'm right, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about predominantly spiritual coaches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are all kind of methods, and I know there are also lots of methods out there that don't work, but there are a few pearls that really work. And the thing is, it's not only, for me, overcoming that fear was not only in order to ensure my quality of life, so being able to fly back and forth, but also I know that if you don't face your fear and if you don't transform your fear into something good and powerful, it's energetic work, right? Yeah. And then fear gets into all areas of life. It's like a virus, if you don't face your fear, then you get fearful in all kind of other areas of life. And that's why for me, it was important to face it. Yeah.
In order to answer one of the questions coming from the audience from my end, you have obviously overcome all this. Is that am I right? Or in other words, have you officially overcome the fear of flying? Are you now perfectly all right with it?
Yeah. I enjoy it.
And you were able to actually apply your own method, your own inside relevance method in order to have this particular traumatic experience dissipate or disappear completely.
Mm-hmm. It disappeared completely. And it's not about really particularly the fear of flying. That was it. And people who have fears know what I'm talking about. It's also when you're ready to let go of the fear, there comes another fear that if you let go of this fear, that this, what you fear, is going to happen. And so your mind is basically working against you because it's trying to protect you because of this experience. You will die, you will die, you will die. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And you feel like kind of odd when you let go of this. So it's different phases of fear. And I love flying. I enjoy flying. Yeah.
It's actually very good news for all of us. And there are many of us. I'm saying us because I still have fear of flying, although I fly a lot, but I still have fear. And there are good reasons for it. Different from yours. Definitely not as traumatic as yours. Perhaps I should become your client. This is probably not ideal. I will change the subject or divert the subject slightly towards your method of inside relevance. You have mentioned before in previous interviews about creating cards. Now, what is that all about? This is in order for the audience to understand, and we're progressively going into your method.
Okay. Thank you for asking for the cards. This is something I'm really proud of. These are cards that help you to playfully bring more awareness into your life. Some people don't know, what do you mean with more awareness? And because we all have filters, how we think and feel. It comes from our favorite things in life or our hobbies, how we're, our talents, strengths, how we grew up, the education. So we all have filters, how we see the reality. But reality is much bigger than we perceive as human beings. I mean, even like animals, like for example, bats can see at night, can hear certain frequencies, and the bats, for example, are shouting into the world. That's how they orientate themselves, and we can't hear them scream because not in our range of frequency that human beings can hear. But so we are limited anyways for the whole reality, but we can broaden our senses by focusing on things we usually don't see. And these are so that the first deck is animal cards. I have them here actually. And on these animal cards, there are all kind of animals. I show them all kind of animals that are so, and they work, if you in your daily life see an animal, yes. No matter whether it's painted or on a poster or in a film or in real life. So you focus on seeing animals. And if you see an animal, then you look up what that animal can show you with its qualities and with its essence, because every animal has an essence of abilities and specialties. And that's how you broaden your awareness, by reflecting on how this special energy applies to you in your life. And so that's a playful way of reflecting on your situation, but also broadens your awareness because you focus on others. You can do it with all kind of
Das habe ich gefunden.
Oh, my Siri is always switching. Sorry about that. And you're basically broadening your awareness into areas of life that you usually don't focus on.
So what I am gathering from your information, that there is a synchronicity. When you see an animal, it could be a bird or a squirrel or any other animal, made two-dimensional or three-dimensional, meaning live, there is a synchronicity and there is a meaning. Through spirituality or through any other means, perhaps the angels, depending on what you believe in, that it's time to look up or to feel into why you saw the animal. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's really important. Because of our filters, we filter out, our system, our body is so much smarter than our brain, although we are not aware of that. And everything that comes into your awareness is basically filtered by your system, that you so that it's a meaning. You don't see the elephant that's walking by, but you see a little spider. So everything that comes into your awareness is meant for you to look at. Yeah, exactly. There's a synchronicity.
This is an incredible. It's not a discovery as such, but it certainly is I suppose, a passion for you in this case, from my observation. And obviously, it seems to be connected with you. And when teaching this to your clients, how is the resonance? In other words, are they able to adapt to this? Or is this something very, very strange to them? Or are they willing to learn about this as well, or this particular method? Because it's effectively, it's consciousness expansion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the people that come to me are usually ready for change. So anyways, and some people, when I talk to people outside, they can't grasp it. And I can totally understand. I used to be an atheist, full-on atheist. Yes. And for the past 10 years, and with everything that happened, I'm at least an agnostic and a believer. Because everything underneath, like the world is not how it's supposed to seem. It's different. It's all about energies, and it can be so easy, and people are stuck in that. And when people come to me, they are. When I read in the field, the morphogenetic field, where I get the information from. It's basically deepening your senses. As a human being, we can feel so much deeper than we usually are. If you train a muscle and you go this, like every day the muscle grows, right? And if you train your intuition, and everybody has that, these impulses, they are very soft and very quiet. But if you train them, that you can make them louder. And that's, I can do that for other people, and get everything inside up so that they can look at it, and then they can choose themselves, because everyone is a free person. They can see better everything from another perspective, and then see, okay, I didn't see that perspective. Oh, okay, then I decide to go that way, or I decide to go that way. It's always a process. So sometimes, yes, overall they are ready, the clients, coming to your question, but sometimes there are also some elements inside of you, like saying, "Oh, that needs some courage to go that way." But it's always in that speed and in that rhythm, like everyone needs it, and in the words that they need it. So I don't have the experience that people say it's strange, unless I talk outside of a session with people that are not really willing to understand anyways, who need like some kind of proof. And I'm not here to prove, I'm here to help for the ones that are ready for that kind of work, or at least curious about it. Yeah.
It's so soothing, and actually, it's easy to understand what you're doing. And I think there's one word that I find very interesting, and I think the audience is actually curious about the word that you used, morphic field. Now, would you be able to elaborate and explain to us what morphic field means for those of us who don't understand or who have never heard of the word? We may have heard it through a physics course, but we never really paid attention to it. And I'm sure that you're the one who's the expert in this particular field, and we would love to know your definition, or the definition of morphic field.
Probably I could give you 100 definitions of it. Let's see.
It's just a visualization. In other words, how do you operate with
exactly. Maybe it helps best. I mean, all of you know some kind of moment when you felt so connected with someone, and all of a sudden the telephone rang. Like you feel like, or someone is speaking out what you're thinking, or the other way around. And these are the moments when you can feel the effect of the morphogenetic field. I mean, the morphogenetic field is also called quantum field, or there are all sorts of names for it, but it basically means that we're energetically all connected with each other, and all connected to our thoughts, to our deeds, to our energy, to our emotions. And if you take that in account, that we're all connected, then of course it does something to us. Sometimes a mother can't sleep at night, and then she realizes next morning the child was sick or had a bad dream or something. And these are the moments when you can actually see these connections. And this is called the morphogenetic field. You tap into that kind of information field or energy field, or into that kind of connection. And then you can receive, if you ask a specific question, of course, also, you can receive these information or get these information from it. And someone said once, and I think that's a really nice definition of the morphogenetic field, is it's a overall life world expanding by a library with where everything is stored that you ever thought, said, did, and every person thought, said, did. And it's very dynamic, so it's changing a lot. And that's how I can work also with others. So Because it doesn't matter whether I look inside of me or I look inside of others. Yeah. It's no difference.
So Yvonne, does that mean, if I understand this correctly, this is absolutely fascinating what you're doing.
Yeah.
And does that mean if you were to read me, for example, or if you were to read someone else, does that mean that you could actually be able to read the past lives that that person had? Mm-hmm. Is that possible?
Yeah.
And that's another method, or is that the same method?
Same method. Mm-hmm.
So that means you have probably a variety of different clients who would like to know what happened in their past lives, and instead of being hypnotized. I think I'm right, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you don't have to be hypnotized. You can actually go to Yvonne and then have your past life or lives be read, or at least based on the question or questions that particular person has. Is that right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, usually it's such a holy and holistic method, so that when I'm reading into someone, then it's usually so that they can evolve and develop and become happier and get rid of stuff. And sometimes it's just way before it is, so when it happens. So that's why you go back into these lives. Yeah. But sometimes it's also, I have a company that books me every month for what's important for the company at the moment and what's the next step for the company to evolve, because you can read companies the same way you read people. And some it's about potentials and about what they should do in life or with their profession, or how they can handle traumatic experiences, or how they can solve certain issues within the company among co-workers. You know, sometimes it's not really smooth and communication problems, and it's sometimes about things you can't logically get to the point. And that's how the morphogenetic field helps. So it's all sorts, you can use it for all sorts of, for meetings that are coming, for personal development, for going into past lives, it's like for everything basically. And when I do this with people, and for me, I'm a scientist and I need proof. And for this method, of course, you can't have proof unless you experience it. And I was writing for 10 years. I was writing down just to see the progression and just to scientifically prove that this is not just some crazy thinking or method just to smooth your emotion. That's really something, a good tool to work with. And so it can be used with all kind of issues. Yeah.
This is fantastic. And I will tell you why, Yvonne. We are actually ready as a group, for those of us who are watching and for those of us who will be watching your program, we're ready to, if that is you are, if you would like to do a group reading. And here is my question. Would you like to read, although I'm going to leave it entirely up to you, which topic you would like to choose? One that comes to mind, you know that we're going through a global pandemic, but a global panic or a global concern, global worry, global panic, actually, to a certain degree. Would that be of interest to you, or would you like to choose a different subject with regards to a group reading, which will take about...
Yeah, what an awesome idea. Very good. I think a lot of people suffer.
Because we are all concerned. We're all concerned. And we're this is not to shove the fault to a specific area or source. This is simply to say, what can we look forward to?
Okay.
It's basically that, or spontaneous, whatever comes into your field, and that's fine as well. So basically, it's a group reading with regards to our current global situation, and I'm going to leave it entirely up to you, and I'm going to switch to my audience, to your audience as well, Yvonne, and to let everyone know that we are undergoing between 20 to 22 minutes Is that okay, Yvonne?
Perfect, yeah.
Reading. It's a group reading and followed by question and answers at the end. Now I have several questions already that I could well imagine. And so I'm going to leave the floor to you, Yvonne. Would you like me to keep a timer on? Would you like me to let you know 5 minutes before the 20 minutes are over?
That would be perfect, yes. Thank you.
All right.
I wanted to ask.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the floor is all yours, Yvonne. So get ready as you would normally get ready. And the audience knows that there's some, or will know there is probably a short meditation before that.
Exactly.
Or at least, go ahead and tell us. Yes.
Exactly. And okay, so it's a way of me plugging into the morphogenetic field basically and pulling these informations. And you at home or wherever you are listening, you can use these 2 or 3 minutes, which it will take, to just be present, maybe also have a hand on your heart and breathe. And breathe in, count to 5. Stop your breath for a second. And breathe out, count to 10. And you can close your eyes and just try to be as much with you and your energy as possible. Then breathe in, count to 5. And if you want, you can concentrate on a spot between your eyes. Hold your breath for a moment and then breathe out, count to 10. Hold your breath for a moment. Concentrate on a middle between your eyes and breathe in, count to 5. And so on. So you can do that in your own rhythm, count to 5, breathing in, count to 10, breathing out while I'm connecting. So that will last for about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so what was the question?
Our global situation, our global current situation, we are all concerned. What can we look forward to with regards to our current global situation? With regards to the pandemic?
What can we look for the group that is listening and that will listen to this audio? What can this group and in this pandemic look forward to in this current situation? So there are, I can see like single people that are basically that have already come out of the panic and mourning mode. they are already ready to take on new challenges and take this situation as given. So they have already come out of that. Some are still fighting and resisting to what at the moment is and is happening. And some are on the transition that have been moaning and in this heavy mode and panicking and fearful mode that are just coming out. So in this group, there are several stages, and for the ones, so the answer is different. For the ones that have already come out of this panic mode and fear mode, there is not much to say because they know already, some of you know already that this is the new way of living and to take care of yourself and your inner needs and your passion and your love and little things in life, and to kind of switch your mind. You have already learned how to handle it, and you see the good things and good sides in this situation at the moment. And the ones that are in the transition, for these people that are in transition who are torn between it's so heavy and painful and I want it to be over, and then also on another day, hey, this is actually, there are new chances, new possibilities that I can take on. And so for them, it's important to be more in the community that nurtures you, because everything you've nurtured, that will grow. So when you feed yourself with bad news, for example, or you surround yourself with people that are heavy energy and fearful and painful, then you nurture that side. But if you're around people, for example, in this beautiful group and support each other and help each other, then you can get stronger with your heart and get more resilience and be more immune for the heavy energies. So be encouraged and be inspired, get inspired and feed this side more. So that's for the ones who are in that transition, who are torn back and forth between panicking and wanting to get rid of and wanting to get the old thing, and also enjoying the new possibilities and some areas in life that are beautiful. And they are there because a lot of people enjoy this kind of quietness and stillness. And so for them who are in that transition, nurture the side that brings you joy. And for the ones who are still in the panic mode and say, well, I lost my job, I don't have the money anymore, there are really big issues, how can I be happy in this? And yes, you have all the empathy of the world, and if you're suffering at the moment, and it's there's nothing the field or anybody can say to make the situation better at the moment for you. But there are small things that help you to find another perspective. And if you're ready to see also the other side, everything has two sides. There would not be peace, and the value of peace couldn't be felt if there hadn't been war before. And war is nothing beautiful, of course, but at the same time, you can see the other perspective and say, there is peace and peace wouldn't exist. We are in a dualistic world, and there are always two sides to a thing. So for the ones who are still stuck in panic, so analyze your situation by analyzing your emotions and your thoughts, and also your situation, and seeing always the counter side, seeing always the other side of the coin, and try to search for this other side, and not to say there's nothing good about it. Really search for the good side of it. What is good about this bad situation I'm in? And you have all the empathy, and it's not talking your problems down, but it's helping you to cope better with your situation. You can't have good decisions if you are in an anger or fear mode. And if you're in an anger or fear mode, your side of the brain is blocked in order to make good decisions. While you're stressed, you're also not doing anything for your health in that moment. So it's better to be in a bad situation with an unstressed and relaxed mind, to be able to make sharp decisions and not to be floated away by your emotions, by your bad emotions. So for the ones who are still stuck in that panic and fear mode, try to work on your fear. There are many tools how to transform fear and emotions, and then to get a new perspective onto your situation, so that at least you are in a state of mind where you see possibilities. Because if you look down and you moan and you are fearful, you cannot see the possibilities that might come your way. And you can turn everything inside of you. That doesn't make your situation better, but it makes your view and your perspective and broadens your possibilities. And while you're quiet and relaxed, you'll also do something for your health. Otherwise, you are suffering twice, once from your situation and once from you reacting to it in a negative way. So you choose how to react to that.
We have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. Is there any other information for the group at the moment? This group is a very intelligent group because there are so many people with so many talents and so many professions and so colorful. And being in that group together and sharing knowledge helps not only the group, but it helps the whole world. It's an energy ball, and it's truly a light ball that this group that has such a nice connection. It's a big group, but it's very specific and pinpoints and highlights every profession and every talent that everyone brings on a table. And not only that everyone can speak their truth and their way of thinking or seeing the world, but also by doing that thousands of times, it helps the group to grow inside without even realizing it. So for you who are in the group, there are some people that wonder whether they should speak out, but they are fearing. They have fear of doing that. So be encouraged, feel encouraged to do it. For the ones who are still holding back and not talking about themselves and not talking about their profession and what they do and how they see the world, come forward and speak, because the group needs exactly you and to speak out. So there are a few in this group that are holding back, and it's really important to bring in your energy for the group, for yourself, and for the world. Mm-hmm. And there are many that are in a group and ask themselves, can I go forward? Should I? Or is it, they are hesitating. So don't hesitate. Come forward and speak. Speak your truth.
We have 3 more minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, the ones that are afraid to speak in that group or hesitating or speak. It's really important that you speak. The ones that are hesitating and that haven't talked much and that were more consumer than doer in this group, speak your truth. It's important. Come forward. Be courageous. The group needs your knowledge. It's really important. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, if any of the people here in the group have a question, they can ask a question. I think one.
There's. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there a question, technician? From your end? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, 1 minute. We're going to read it.
My question.
We have a question. In fact, does that mean that once we change our attitude or our current situation of being in a panic mode or worry mode, does that mean then that once that particular, or in the I form, changes, that the situation, as far as the current global situation, then may change to become more positive? Positive meaning towards good, towards the light, or towards peace. Does that mean that every time we change the current situation to become less panic or less worrisome and move more towards the light?
Good question. Change the energies. Yeah, it's a very, very individual experience, because for a lot of people, this current situation is not as bad as, for example, the whole society makes it. And if you look closely, all truth comes out. A lot of truth comes out that has always been there, but covered. And so this global situation is more like a cleaning process that brings out all the bad onto the surface. And then people can work on it. And it's very individual. It is global, but it's very specifically individual, and an individual development. And the more people do and to transform and work on themselves, the faster this horror side of the global situation is over. Yes, and yes.
Okay.
It's
awesome, Yvonne. Thank you, because we needed that particular feeling as well, and that comfort zone. It's important for some of us to have a little bit of that comfort zone to say, I can go on now. Yvonne, we have one more question. Does that work for you? We have about 10 minutes or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
I have a question from, his name is Nikolai, and he's currently applying for jobs, but he has a fear that he may not find a job due to the pandemic current situation. In other words, a fear of companies collapsing, no longer able to hire people. And we're talking about a graduate master's degree. And he's actually quite worried, if not to say, he's sliding towards panic. So that's Nikolai's question.
And what is the specific question? How to get out of panic mode? How to get out of panic mode, or how to get a job?
How to get rid of the panic mode.
Okay, for Nikolai, how can I get out of the panic mode due to his current situation? That's very interesting. Nikolai, thank you for that question. It might also help a lot of other people, because you, especially you, have a very strong base inside of you. You have good instincts, good values, good. You know what's right and what's wrong. You're very settled inside of you, and the only thing that's in panic mode is the panic mode is only superficial for you, because really in your system you're very grounded and you trust. It's more like a panic mode because you trust so much. like there's a it's more like I can't trust at the moment, it's nothing to be, nothing I can trust, because I don't have that job and I don't get that job. But I shouldn't be trusting. I shouldn't be relaxed now. I should be panicking. And it's more like a superficial and artificial panic mode than a real panic mode, because deep inside you are very relaxed and very grounded. It's more like you're more afraid of, you're more surprised about your inner tranquility and peacefulness, because the outside says you shouldn't be so relaxed. You shouldn't be in that panic. You should be more. You should be more panicking, because hey, look what's there. But inside you're very relaxed, and so. It's more about getting rid of this superficial, artificial panic mode, because you don't trust your senses that everything is fine and everything will turn out great. You're on a great path and everything is supposed to be the way. There's nothing you have to solve, nothing you have to dig or analyze or so. The only thing is like this panic mode that comes more from the head. Like, I should be panicking because I don't have that job, and the pandemic and global, and I should be panicking more. But actually, you're really relaxed, and this is how. And it will go away, your panic mode, if you start to trust yourself and trust in the course of things and trust in the course of life, and also in the if you strengthen your trust. And you can do this by meditating every day and grounding yourself. And there are so many grounding tools. Sorry about that, I don't know. So many grounding tools and so many ways of letting go of panic mode. And if you want, I can send you also some links to some nice meditations that help to dissolve that. There's nothing to do and nothing really. It's just made up. It's a made up panic. It's not a real panic mode. It's basically more like trust in the course of life, and that you are valuable the way you are, even if you don't have.
End very soon, Yvonne. Yeah, we'll have to.
Helen?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would definitely ask the audience, which means Nikolai, who asked the question, to pursue this with you later on. That would be absolutely awesome. And thank you so much, Nikolai, to have participated. Yvonne, before we end, we have about 4 more minutes. What's important is the following. Now that you've actually shown us how you work, I'm sure that many will be interested. Can you just do me a favor? Can you let me know whether you are able to coach in English and in German? I assume that you in both languages.
I do in English and in German, unfortunately not in Italian, although the Italians, I have many Italian friends, and sorry, I can't speak Italian.
Well, I'm sure that many of the Italians are able to speak English, and they'll be able to yes. In addition to that, what I would like to do is that once we finished with the interview, we only have 2 more minutes left, you'll be able to write down your website or your coordinates where they can reach you directly via Facebook, Instagram, website, and possibly your phone number if that's what you want. All right, this is going to be your decision. And in addition to that, I am going to, just one moment, I had my last question. Yes, for the audience, you will be watching, or you'll be able to watch Yvonne either on a weekly basis or monthly basis. She will be discussing this with Gaetano Vivo's team. And then you'll be running your own show, Yvonne, which is absolutely lovely. It was a pleasure introducing you and a pleasure interviewing you. I love your work, and I've been following your work for a while. And it's a type of work that brings results. This is not something where you have to think too long. You ask the question, you have the answer, you apply the method, and it works. Yeah. So that's basically, so for anyone who is oriented with regard to companies who are looking for quick answers. By quick answers, I mean they are relevant answers, and they're dead on. Companies are actually looking for people or for a coach such as yourself. So for those of you who have companies, definitely Yvonne Arnold is your person. And with this thought in mind, I'd like to say thank you to the audience for participating, and for those who will be participating. And you can ask questions because Yvonne will be following up on this particular platform. So she'll be seeing your questions, and she'll be able to answer your questions. Mm-hmm. Thank you once again. Thank you very much to Gaetano Vivo and his team, to Yvonne Arnold, and to the audience. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.